was watching a video about Cardi B, Offset, and also this ties into like the whole combination of like why certain men in the industry don't marry their women. And I was just thinking about it. I believe the reason that certain men like Big Sean didn't marry Janae Aiko, and I believe like Tyga abandoned and jumped ship on um, Black China, and I think the reason Clarence may have not even married what's his name, Clarence Queen, is because they can't necessarily protect them in the industry. So you know how like I remember being growing up like in I always tell you I grew up in the hood. So growing up in the hood, like I remember walking down the street with my boyfriend and somebody came, grabbed my hand, and flipped me around. And next thing I know, I was walking in the opposite direction. And like I pulled my hand and I told him, I was like, why would you let a boy do that to me? Why would you let another man grab my hand and walk me up the street? And he was like, what was I supposed to do? It was like two dudes in the middle of the night. Da, 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 da. Coming to find out later, he came out as gay. So he didn't have that masculinity in order to protect me, or he didn't feel secure enough in himself to protect a woman, right? So I think it's the same. Not saying I'm calling these guys like effeminate, but I think when you're dealing with the big dogs in the industry and dealing with protection, I think we've all kind of come to the conclusion of like the industry is like one big ex-working game, kind of in a sense. Like I feel like those who care about the artistry in the industry end up like Jaguar Wright, or end up like Khalees, or end up like Chrisette Michelle. Those are actual artists who love the music, who are beautiful songstress, right? Those people, they end up getting tossed out the industry a lot of times because they hold on to their MVPs, their morals, their values, and their principles. But I think that's why you see this uproot in the rapper girlies being from the strip club. And I also think if you see now people like Summer Walker are also now being taken out of the strip club. And if I'm correct, I believe SZA even had her stint there. So I think because they already in eggs work, it makes it easier for them to transition them into that secondary lifestyle that we see Diddy and other folks getting exposed for, right? If you get my drift. So I think within that, I think if you fall in love with a girl in the industry, just like if you fall in love with a girl at the strip club, there's a certain level of protection she has because people are valuing their investment in that stripper. So like if you are a club owner and you expect your big star to be there at 8 p.m., you will fight the boyfriend. You will fight him because that's your main act. And I think it's the same thing when you see people in positions of like authority in the industry. I think they have their best performers in their acts lined up. And if a guy tries to get involved and temper that, they can literally be assaulted and abused themselves. So if you don't have a strong enough man to protect you in the industry, you probably won't be able to be with that man. So that's why you see a lot of women end up getting with really, really powerful but abusive men because at least they feel protected under that umbrella. And then there's the second tier, the people like a Janae Aiko and like a Summer Walker and like a Queen. Those women, they may, or even a Cardi B, they may get pregnant often in order to protect themselves. Maybe, and this is just all guesstimating, this is all assumptions, it's not factual, this is my just personal conspiracy theory and opinion. Maybe in those situations, when they're pregnant, nobody bothers them to do any, eggs work. Maybe they are free to like live that fantasy of freedom for a little bit longer than they would, if they have to go hustle and work, So maybe that's why some of their men, the ones who can't protect them in more of like a machismo way, maybe to protect them in a way to get them pregnant. And maybe part of that is love, because you love the girl, but maybe that part of it just care to kind of try to shield them and protect them from parts of the industry that would eat them alive. Because somebody like Cardi B, I feel like in who she is, like at the core of who she is similar to Jocelyn Hernandez, where I mentioned Jocelyn Hernandez in a previous post. I don't know if I deleted it or privated it, but the algorithm will let you know. They'll send it to you next if it's still up. And neither here nor there. My point of those kind of women, they're like soft on the inside and they have hard exteriors on the outside because of so much abuse and trauma they went through as a child. So when they get in the industry, men will try to, get them pregnant to protect them. Men like Stevie J got her pregnant to protect her. So while that time they're like, oh, she's taking care of my baby. So it kind of shifts them away from having to deal with these big bad industry men. I could be wrong. I might be wrong. Probably wrong. But that's just my take on it. And I think some of them do it a little bit as protection. And I also think a lot of them don't marry them because of they'll end up in a situation like Cardi B. Like when those babies are popped out and it's time to go back to eggs work, they got to go back to work. And I think the men they know what it is and they don't like that. Just like if a stripper had a baby and it's time for them to go back to the strip game, they got to go back to work. And, a lot of men will try to say, I'll keep you out of it. I'll keep you out of the game. But it's not about the man in that lifestyle sometimes. A lot of the times it's also about the women and her independence and maintaining that, controlling that power. So maybe there's a balance of all of that. But that was just like my 2 cents on the topic. So, bye. Take care.